Hi, Toby here. So I just want to create a little bit of a video on two subjects. So the first is why and how a meditation practice helps you to grow as a person. And the second, based on that, well then, what the long-term effects of a meditation practice would be, and what it would look like if you were to work on your meditation for a long time, over a period of years. So how does meditation help you grow within yourself, within your consciousness? So the essential dynamic of almost all meditations, implicitly or explicitly, is what it does is it helps you to transform subjects of consciousness into objects of consciousness. So your sense of self-identification with your body is lessened as you learn to witness the body, and instead you find yourself, you experience your body as an object of consciousness rather than something that your self-sense is entirely caught up with. Similarly with your emotions, you learn to distinguish your self-sense, that which is witnessing the emotions, from the emotions themselves, and so as a result you become free from exclusive identification with your emotional states. Similarly, so actually body and emotions follows a basic evolutionary pattern for most human beings anyway, to a certain extent, certain degree. So when you're a baby, you're entirely identified with your body. As you grow into a child, you learn to disidentify or distinguish yourself from your body, and you start to identify with your emotions. Then as you grow from child to teenager to adult, you cease to identify with the emotions that come and go, and you identify more with your self-concept, your ego, which is an idea of who you are, which is to say it's a mental thing rather than emotion and a physical thing. So if you're an adult and then you continue to meditate with your self-concept, your sense of self as a mental thing, also known as your ego, then what will start to happen is you'll start to notice that behind your idea of yourself, there is something that is witnessing your idea of yourself. So you start to disidentify with the idea of yourself that is your ego and self-concept, and notice that there is a self sitting behind that self-concept that is not the ego, that is not the self-concept, and that witnessing consciousness, it has the nature of consciousness itself. So a formless, timeless continuum of consciousness, witnessing the ego, witnessing the mental self, witnessing the emotional self, witnessing the physical self. So as a result of this process, then what happens is we liberate ourselves from exclusive identification with body, emotions, mind. And so we gain a liberation from that exclusive identification. We can still use our body, we can still use we still experience emotions, we still have a self-concept. It's just our idea of who we are goes beyond that. It's no longer tied up with that. We are playing the role of ourself as a personality, as an ego, playing the role of somebody who looks a certain way, playing the role of somebody engaging in different forms, a range of different emotions, but that is not us. So meditation helps us to evolve from the subject of one level of consciousness then becomes the object of the next. So whereas previously we were a body, we're now a self owning a body. Whereas previously we were an emotional self, we're now a self owning or experiencing emotions. Whereas previously we were an ego, now we are a self that has an ego. So we still have all these things, but we are free from them, and so we grow to maturity, to a greater sense of maturity and inner freedom through a meditation practice. And so that's kind of, broadly speaking, how meditation helps us to grow to the next level of our evolutionary potential. So any other objectives you have in your life, growth objectives, meditation will generally help that, because the overall process of mastering consciousness and mastering self through this kind of journey from the subject of one level becoming the object of the next level, this witnessing, greater and greater degrees of witnessing, it helps all other forms of kind of evolutionary mastering. All right, so then the long-term effect of a meditation practice is that the person who is practicing that meditation would gradually find themselves freer and freer from the objects within their consciousness, body, emotions, mind, ego, and so forth. And they would still be experiencing these things, but they would not be those things. They will be that which witnesses those things, can participate, but is free from. And so then we're kind of getting into what we really mean by a true inner liberation, a true kind of inner kind of nirvana. It's actually that kind of freedom from exclusive identity with the lower levels of our consciousness, or the objects within our consciousness. Okay, so if you keep meditating, gradually, you have this kind of increasing degrees of freedom. And that's very useful. It's fun to be free, to have this liberation. There is a playfulness and an enjoyment of life that comes with that. But it also kind of, it also means that your ability to take pressure gets better and better, because the pressure under which you are being placed, these are all objects within your consciousness rather than things that you get caught up, that your identity gets caught up in. So your capacity to endure greater and greater degrees of stress calmly and easily gets better and better over time. So which means you can then start to set yourself kind of difficult and stressful targets in your life, and you can endure that stress relatively easily to most other people. It's so you can do difficult things without finding them all that difficult, because you're no longer identified with the stresses and strains that are going on within the dynamic of that situation. So I'll finish with a little analogy. So if you think about your suffering, your stress, the things that are causing you pain in your life as being like salt, some sort of a little pile of salt. So if your mind is then the water within which you put that salt, so if you put the salt in a very small glass of water and just shake it up and dissolve it, you taste the water in that very small cup, and you'll still taste the salt. So if your mind is very small, identified with every other thing that comes along within your field of awareness, then it's very easy to cause you pain. It's like if the pain is like the salt, because the mind and the experience are about the same size. Okay, so then if you make your mind bigger through meditation, you make your field of awareness a big space that is observing the objects that come and go within your field of consciousness, right? So you put the pain, the little bit of salt, into the big bucket of water and dissolve it, and then you taste the water, and it tastes like water. You can't really taste the salt. So this is kind of what happens when your mind becomes bigger, more objective, more expansive through meditation. Is you still kind of got pain and stress and all that stuff, but it just doesn't have the same effect, because your awareness is so much bigger. It's the witness of the experience rather than that which is identified with the experience. So again, it's just life is a lot less painful, a lot more playful, a lot more enjoyable, because of this kind of scale at which you're witnessing things, and the level of disidentification that you've achieved. Disidentification is not complete estrangement. You're still warmly engaging in the objects of your life. You're just not caught up with it. Okay, so this is just a little video to explain how meditation in general helps you to grow, helps you to liberate, helps you to find freedom, helps you to find greater resilience in the face of stress, and also will help you to increase your playfulness. So I'm putting this video on my 2-day retreat page. So if you're watching this video and that 2-day retreat is still on, then you're invited to come along. The video works just by itself anyway. It's on its own subject, so I hope you've enjoyed it. If you do fancy doing a bit of meditation, then there is of course an ongoing program at Integral Meditation Asia that I'm running. You simply need to go to integralmeditationasia.com or tobyuvry.com, and on that website you will find the latest iteration of programs, classes and retreats that I'm offering. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. All the best for your day, and good luck in your process of turning subjects into objects through your meditation practice.